Hello everyone. Today I have something extra fun for you in that I, as you know, adore art built through AI, along with everything else that concerns AI. But in this one, I'm going to actually show you how I created an agent that specializes in creating AI art. Now, what you see on my screen right now is very important to this working. This is using a preview feature called generative. In the settings of your Copilot agent, look for generative AI, and then we want to use this preview feature here. This is very powerful feature that we'd love your feedback on. But I'm going to share with you how I leverage this feature to do a bare minimum of stuff and end up with generated AI. Okay? I set the moderation to medium because I don't want it too strict and I don't want it too lax. I want it to be confident, but in this case, no matter what, it will be very confident because we are actually going to be scoping exactly what it generates. All right? So I want to start with that word that I used earlier, or at least the title of this video, which is orchestration. Because what's happening here is we have a brand new system of orchestrating what responses are triggered and returned to the end user. And I'm going to share a PowerPoint slide with you just real quick here. Here is an image of an orchestra. Right? So that if you've ever gone to a theater, you've seen these things in real life. And the orchestrator in the center here, this man here with his two sticks, and it could be a her as well, will be deciding basically in their movements how this audience works together for a particular musical outcome. So he's orchestrating the sounds of the music and the weight of the different areas. And so there's singers back here in the back. There's instrument players in the front on both sides. And his movements are kind of balancing this sound so that it comes out just perfectly beautiful. Think of the equivalent of this kind of thing in Copilot Studio as we have knowledge sources, like if you uploaded a file using file upload, or if you added a Dataverse table or a SharePoint site, those are knowledge sources. You also might have actions that you have added to your agent in order to handle something that could be more transactional, right? In nature. So it may be going to get information, or it may be posting information, but it's performing some type of action. Actions usually have inputs and outputs. And you have topics, either the topics that come out of the box, or you've added your own topics for dialogue control, for managing the flow of the conversations. All right. And now you may notice topics have inputs and outputs as well. And when we orchestrate these things, we're doing a level of intent recognition, recognizing what the intent is, and we trigger an appropriate outcome. And what you don't see because it's fallen off on the page here, sorry, is what this turns out to being is called a unified response. So intent recognition plus triggering appropriate outcome ends up being a unified response, which means that today the Copilot agent with that setting in preview can actually give you back a response that is covering multiple intents and reasoning across knowledge sources and actions and topics. So really, really cool. All right, now let's go back and see how I leverage this to do something kind of fun. All right, so we're going to go back to Copilot Studio, and You've seen the setting. By the way, for security, I just left the default. There's no reason to change anything in this. And now you'll notice that I've named my agent an AI art assistant. By the way, I used AI to generate my own logo for this. That's always fun to me. And then I've given it a description and I've given it instructions. And basically the engine behind this particular agent is actually Dall-e, right? Which is our platform built into ChatGPT now, trained by OpenAI. And so I can leverage that partnership here to talk directly to Dall-e to generate images. So if you notice here on the right, this is our test panel here, and the agent is introducing itself and says, "Hello, I'm your personal AI art assistant and virtual mentor. I am happy to help you learn the basis of AI art prompting, and I can even help you to create your own AI art right now. Which would you prefer?" For the sake of the demo, I gave it a suggested answer, which was to let's create an AI generated image. But I can ask any question I want because I've actually added as a knowledge source the website related to Dall-e. So this will answer any question related to AI art as it relates to Dall-e. But today we're going to look at the create AI generated image. So I'm just going to click that suggested reply, and notice it asked me for a description. So I'm going to say here, let's say a puppy sitting on the back seat of a car. Okay, and I guess you would say in. So basically I'm describing an image that I wish I could create. All right, although I do art, I am not an artist. I can't do paintings, very rudimental drawings, but I really wish I could make a little quick sketch of a puppy sitting in the back seat of a car. Very simple. Now what's special about this agent is not only is it going to help me do that, but it's going to help me with prompting, because maybe I'm not the greatest at prompt engineering. So it's going to actually make this prompt better so that the image can be more beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And then it's going to ask me a question about style. Now I actually, you'll notice that in there is some suggestions on style, just to help people know what I mean. I will put in parentheses, this is not the style key for Dall-e, which is normally vivid or normal. This is my own style that is going to be added to the prompt to say, okay, that thing that I described, I'd like to have it as a drawing, an animation, a close-up photo. So I give these examples so that people know what this agent means when it says what style would you like. Okay, so remember I said I wanted to do a drawing, so let's go ahead and choose drawing. I could also, so these suggestions are not the only suggestions. I could also type other styles like pencil sketch. All right, so I'll just do that and go. Now, unlike other agents who probably just go retrieve data from a knowledge source or an action or a topic, this one is actually creating brand new content. Okay, so it will take a minute or two. And if I scroll back up, you'll see that it ends up with this image, which is a puppy in the back seat of a car in a pencil sketch. Now, interestingly enough, I can right click on this, save this image to my computer, or copy the image link and paste that in the browser to look at it even bigger. Okay, so you can see it did a really good job. I think it's interesting to notice that it added a pencil. I guess that's the pencil that was used to make the sketch. I can also make adjustments to this image, right? can we change the puppy to a full-grown German Shepherd? Let's see what happens. I don't know how to spell shepherd. Forgive me. So I'm asking it to make a change to this image from being just a puppy to a full-grown German Shepherd. And maybe I should say something I can spell, but let's see how smart the AI will be. Okay, you have a little latency message here to let everybody know that we're working on it. Because again, we're creating something brand new. It didn't exist. So this will take a couple of seconds to generate. Now, if we were actually doing a pencil sketch of a dog in the backseat of a car, that would take a lot longer. So we don't mind waiting a minute or two. And here we have our new image that is a full-grown German Shepherd in the back seat of a car. I assume they're crossing an intersection because you can look out the window and there's a car heading at them. So I'm assuming they're passing an intersection. Let's just say that. But we can continue to ask for adjustments. All right. So you're probably wondering, how did you do that, right? What is all the thousands of things you had to do in Copilot Studio to achieve such an interesting goal? Well, I'll let you know, like I mentioned before, there is a knowledge source. It's not being used for this. It's being used when I ask other questions about AI. So I'll show you what's being used for this. So I'm going to go to the topics. Of course, I could have turned on the map so that you could watch it change video. And you'll notice there's a single topic here called Create AI Image. All right. Interestingly enough, this topic has 2 nodes. I'm going to zoom out a little here. It has a node which represents the trigger. Now, when you use this generative preview setting, what you must remember is that your triggers are no longer topic phrases as we've used in Classic, where we have to type each word that somebody might say, right? Instead, or each set of words or phrases that somebody might say. In this case, we have what's called a model description. And the model description is what lets the orchestrator know what to trigger. Okay, so in this, it says this tool can handle queries like these: generate AI art, create artificial intelligence artwork, create AI art, design digital art using AI, produce machine learning art. Now, I could always add to this, use this whenever the end user wants to have the AI create an image for them. Okay, so basically, here's the key to remember when you're deciding what your trigger descriptions are going to be, is you want to make sure they're in natural language. You don't need to do any technical terminology. You need to explain in natural language what is this topic for, so that the orchestrator will recognize when the user asks for that topic, it will know, oh, this one needs this intent. All right. Now, the second thing that's in here, and the only other thing, there's only one more thing in here. And you probably are thinking, well, you've got images here. How come you don't have an adaptive card or a media card or something like that? It's not even needed. What I need is to communicate with Dall-e. Dall-e does have its own API endpoint. I'm communicating to Dall-e a prompt from the end user, a size from which I default to 1024 by 1024. Note, I will give you a link in the description to where you can learn more about this endpoint. But a smaller image would be faster, but I wanted the higher quality image. And then there's a style, and this is not, again, this is not the same as the key for Dall-e for style. That key is actually more about how vivid the image is. In this case, I'm adding a suffix to the end of the prompt that basically says in the style of. And that's where I can use those words like drawing and animation or photo or cinematic. Okay, those are styles. So notice there's 3 things that are needed by, these are requirements in order for Dall-e to be able to produce this image, and I'm passing it into a Power Automate flow. Now, by the way, you really only need an HTTP request for this, and then the parsing of that response. I chose to do that, those 2 steps in Power Automate, but you could also have just added an HTTP action here and done it that way, because you're making an HTTP call to Dall-e. All right, and then there's basically nothing else. There's a response coming back in string format, and then it stops. It's over. This is all we need for this. Now remember, I mentioned to you that topics now have inputs and outputs, just like actions. So if I go to details here, you'll see 3 panels here. The topic details, which basically has a description, which is exactly what we talked about, but specifically for the makers. So if somebody else were to pick up this agent, they would understand what this topic is for in natural language, and just whatever way they want to communicate to the people viewing the topics in the makers. But this model description down here should match what is over here on the left, because that is going to be treated somewhat like a prompt in that it alerts the orchestrator when this topic needs to be triggered. Okay, and so it's the same. So sometimes I will just copy the description into here. Sometimes you can get by with just leaving the one that's description blank, but the one that says model description should be filled out. Again, this is part of appropriate orchestration. All right, so that's the main tab. But let's look at the inputs here, because remember I said there's a few things we need for the flow, but I hard-coded the size. So basically we need 2 inputs for the flow. We need a prompt, which is the description, and we need a style, which is my little tacked on in the style of to the prompt. All right, so we first name ourselves a variable for the image prompt, which will be filled from the end user's activity text in the test panel, right? And that will be recognized as a string. And then you also have a display name for this. So this is the variable name, which never has spaces and usually is kind of more geeky looking, so to speak. But then you can have a natural display name, again, for the makers that may be working with you, co-authoring with you on the chatbot agent. Here is where you can decide where this information should be recognized as part of the end user's response or some other entity that it can recognize in everything that they type. And then this description is telling the AI kind of like, what is this? What is this input variable actually doing for me? Is giving me the user's description of the image. It knows it needs that, right? Now, the second thing, based on the first tab we looked at, second thing we're looking for is the image style. And again, we're treating that as a string as well. And just for the makers, we are giving this a display name of style preference. It's going to be whatever they type. But notice here it says this allows the end user to select from a variety of formatting styles like drawing, animation, minimalism, close-up photo, HDR photo, cinematic, watercolor art, all painting, Picasso, so you can even use some popular artist styles, or comic book. All right, so the AI understands that in order to complete this topic, these 2 inputs need to be collected. And basically it knows to form the questions, collect the answers, and then use them properly, right? Now, to get something back to the end user, we go to the output. And here we're just going to, I use the same name for my output as I used as an output variable for my flow, making it very easy for the agent to understand that this output relates to this output, okay? And it's a string, right? So it knows, okay, it doesn't need me to do anything else. It understands that the output is the flow response. It can see clearly we have a flow response variable in our action. And then the description here is, this will include the URL path to the generated image to be displayed to the end user with the optimized prompt. Now, if we take a peek at the variables here, and we look at the, we click test first. Hold on, variables, click test. And we look at the flow response in the variables, you will see that the response coming back from the HTTP call is going to give us this schema. It's going to share the revised prompt. So basically, it revised the prompt that I gave it, which the last one was, the same. So can we change the puppy to a full-grown German Shepherd? It actually understood that I was replacing the previous prompt. So I was doing a substitution. So it rewrote that prompt, generate an image featuring a grown German Shepherd seated comfortably in the backseat of a car. And notice that it gave it more. That's what I mean by it optimized the prompt to get a more beautiful image. All right. And then it provides the URL. Now it is obvious to the AI in this case that that URL needs to be displayed here. So it doesn't need me to add anything else. It can use its own markup capabilities to send back the image. But that is all we have here. All right. I wanted to take a second and just open up the flow. Let's open the flow. Again, you can just add an HTTP action instead of running the Power Automate flow. Click Edit. What's important in this flow is the passing of the prompt and the style. Again, because of our descriptions, the agent knows to ask for that prompt. It doesn't have it. And to ask for that style, because those are the inputs we told it to have. We could have asked for its inputs to be more, because there are additional key values that can be passed to Dall-e. But we chose to keep it simple with just prompt and style, and then I defaulted the size. But we could have added to our description also get the size of the image, and it would have asked that third question and put that into a variable that we could pass here. I added all three, even though in reality the only two that you need for this are prompt and style. Okay, once you get that answer back, you will parse that answer and it will return it back to Copilot Studio as a response. If we take a look at the run of this flow, which just happened 13 minutes ago, you will see from the respond to Copilot the actual output of this HTTP call and the parsing of that information. We're going to get back a single image with a date, a revised prompt, and so on, as we already discussed. And that's it. This is unbelievably simple and loads of fun. And I just want to point out, if we just take this image just to show you how fun the different styles are. Let's choose a let's do one more. So let's do this. Let's do a puppy sitting. Okay, let's do a puppy. I like puppies, right? A puppy, and that could be a kitten. We could try kitten. Let's do kitten. A kitten sitting on a couch in a cozy living room. Let's try this one. And then, which style would you like to use? So this time, let's try something different. Now I could do photo and it would look like a photo. I'm going to actually use cinematic. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it kind of is like a theatrical, dramatic type of a photo. And then it says, hold on, I'm working on it. And that's just a latency setting in the topic. And I'll show you that because I didn't show you that. So we're just, yep, there we go. And there's our kitten with lights on it because it's cinematic, right? We need plenty of lights, and we got a little thing over here. And there is our kitten on a couch in a living room, and I can always save the image as to my computer and use it in my PowerPoint presentation, or use it in my other thing that I'm doing with my document, where I can make the exact image that I want and then insert it wherever I want to insert it. I could even continue this with an action that would send this image, say, to SharePoint to store it there, as opposed to leveraging only the links that Dall-e provides. So I hope you thought this was as much fun as I thought it was. This was just blew me away that our orchestrator could do this type of reasoning without me having to add a lot of nodes. And what I can imagine is that we will probably end up managing a whole lot less nodes within each topic because of the inputs and the outputs and the really great descriptions that we are using in order to help the orchestrator. I think okay, sorry. I wanted to show you, I think it's, let's look at the properties here. All right. In the properties of this one action, and this is a very simple topic, it just has one action, there is something called a latency message. So you can add messages so that if it takes time, the person watching the screen won't feel like it's broken. So I added, hold on, I'm working on it, right? And so that's just a latency message to wait while it's waiting on this to process. All right, so that was the last thing I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be talking to you in the next video. Now, I will say I'm making a little bit of change in my channel. I am truly focusing on AI, and that can be any Copilot in the Microsoft stack, not just Copilot Studio. And that could be anything related to how we can use AI for productivity. So expect my topics to be quite diverse in the area of AI, including different Copilots across the Power Platform. So I hope you enjoyed that. Have a wonderful rest of your day and a great weekend.